The crystal towers of Centrum Prime gleamed under three suns. Inside the largest tower, the Galactic Republic's High Council sat in their massive chamber. Representatives from 40 different species filled the seats, each one more confident than the last. Today was the day they would deal with the human problem once and for all. Ambassador Velthar stood at the center podium. His blue skin shimmered as he raised the datapad containing Earth's response. His voice echoed through the chamber with contempt dripping from every word. "The humans have rejected our generous terms," he announced. "They refuse to surrender their military. They refuse to accept Republic governance. They refuse to pay the technology tax for the privilege of using our star lanes." Murmurs spread through the council. Several representatives laughed. The Draxians, the Quellans, the Vex, all of them had fought countless wars across the galaxy. All of them had won every single time. Humanity was just another primitive species that needed to learn its place. "I move for immediate military action," Velthar continued. "These humans have grown too bold. They need to be reminded that in the galaxy, the Republic's word is law." The vote was unanimous. 40 species, one decision. War against Earth. Velthar smiled as he sent the official declaration through the quantum communication network. The message would reach Earth in seconds. He imagined the panic, the chaos, the desperate pleas for mercy that would surely follow. On Earth, 12,000 light-years away, President Kang Minho sat in the war room beneath Seoul. The room was carved deep into the mountain, protected by layers of steel and concrete. Dozens of screens lined the walls, showing military installations across the planet and throughout the solar system. The quantum receiver beeped. General Nam Tajun handed Minho the datapad without a word. The president read the declaration slowly, his face completely calm. Then something unexpected happened. He smiled. It started small, just a slight curve of his lips, but it grew wider and wider. Defense Minister Park Ji-won stood beside him. She read the message over his shoulder. Her reaction was even stranger. She started laughing. Quietly at first, then louder. Soon she was laughing so hard she had to sit down. "They actually did it," she managed to say between laughs. After 50 years of waiting, they finally did it. The other officers in the room didn't seem surprised. Instead, they looked relieved. Some were smiling. Others were already pulling up tactical displays and fleet positions. Nobody looked worried. President Minho stood and walked to the main screen. He pressed his hand against a biometric scanner. A new display appeared, showing information so classified that only 5 people on Earth knew it existed. "Activate Protocol Homecoming," he said quietly. The words sent a chain reaction across the planet. In the Gobi Desert, sand shifted as massive hangar doors opened. In the Atlantic Ocean, underwater bases powered up after decades of silence. On the dark side of the moon, railgun batteries that had been disguised as mining equipment turned toward the stars. In orbit around Jupiter, an entire fleet uncloaked. Dr. Lee Hyun sat in his laboratory in Busan, watching the activation sequence on his personal screen. He was old now, almost 80, but his mind was still sharp. He had spent 50 years of his life working toward this moment. He remembered the day the Republic first made contact with Earth. The world had celebrated. First contact with aliens. Humanity was no longer alone. Trade agreements were signed. Technology was exchanged. The Republic seemed friendly, helpful, generous. But Hyun had been part of the team that decoded their communication systems. He had read their internal messages, the ones they never intended for humans to see. He learned what the Republic really thought of Earth. Primitives. Easy conquest. Resource world. Future labor pool. The Republic had a pattern. They made contact with developing species, offered them gifts and technology, waited for them to become dependent, then moved in with demands. Surrender your military. Accept our governors. Pay our taxes. Every species that refused was crushed within weeks. But Earth had something the other species didn't have. Earth had time. The Republic was slow, bureaucratic. It took them years to process new members. Earth used those years wisely. Every piece of technology the Republic shared, humans reverse engineered. Every trade ship that visited Earth was scanned down to the molecular level. Every Republic diplomat was monitored, recorded, studied. Earth learned everything about their future enemy while pretending to be grateful, primitive, and harmless. Colonel Kim Sora commanded the stealth ship development program. She had taken the Republic's basic shield technology and pushed it beyond anything they thought possible. Human ships could now bend light around themselves, hide from sensors, mask their heat signatures. The Republic thought humans were still using chemical rockets. They had no idea that Earth had a fleet of warships more advanced than anything in Republic space. The best part was how easy it had been. The Republic was arrogant. They never suspected that the weak little humans were learning, adapting, preparing. They saw what they expected to see, a primitive species grateful for their attention. Back in the war room, President Minho addressed his staff. We all knew this day would come. The Republic doesn't accept equals. They only understand domination and submission. We could never have peace with them, only temporary delays. He pulled up a star map showing the Republic's 7th battle fleet already moving toward Earth. They're sending Admiral Korvax with 300 ships. They expect us to panic. They expect us to beg. They expect an easy victory. General Nam Tejun stepped forward. He was a big man with scars on his face from the border wars with rogue AI 20 years ago. Our fleet is ready. We have 400 ships in position around Earth. Another 200 can reach us within a week, all of them invisible to Republic sensors. Their fleet will arrive in 6 months, Park Ji-won added. She was smiling again. 6 months of them thinking we're helpless. 6 months of them getting comfortable. 6 months of them sailing right into our trap. President Minho nodded. Begin Phase 1. I want every human ship in Republic space to quietly head home. Pull back all our civilians from their worlds. Make it look like we're scared running away. Let them think they've already won. Across the galaxy, human merchants and travelers received coded messages. They began leaving Republic space, citing fears of the coming war. Republic citizens watched them go and felt superior. The humans were cowards after all. But those humans weren't running away. They were getting out of the blast zone. In his laboratory, Dr. Lee Hyun poured himself a drink. 50 years of pretending to be less than they were. 50 years of smiling and nodding while the Republic talked down to them. 50 years of preparing for war while praying it would never come. But now it was here. The Republic had made their choice. They had declared war on humanity, and humanity was going to show the galaxy exactly what humans did best. President Minho sent one final message before the quantum communication network was locked down for security. It was broadcast to every Republic world, every species in the galaxy, every ship traveling between the stars. The message was simple. You have declared war on Earth. This is your mistake, not ours. We offered peace. You chose violence. History will remember that you started this, and history will remember how it ends. On Centrum Prime, Ambassador Velthar read the message and laughed. Human bravado meant nothing against Republic might. He would not be laughing for much longer. Admiral Korvax stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominance. Behind him, through the massive viewport, 300 Republic warships traveled in perfect formation. He felt satisfied. This mission would be easy. Another primitive world would learn to respect the Republic's power. 6 months had passed since the war declaration. 6 months of traveling through hyperspace toward the small blue planet called Earth. Korvax had spent the time reviewing reports about humanity. They were a young species, barely 500 years into their industrial age. Their military was tiny. Their technology was borrowed from Republic trade. We're approaching Earth's solar system, his navigator announced, dropping out of hyperspace in 10 seconds. The fleet emerged into normal space near Earth's moon. Korvax expected to see defense platforms, military stations, fleets of ships ready to defend their homeworld. Instead, he saw nothing. Empty space. No defenses, no ships. Just one small blue planet spinning peacefully. Scan for military installations, Korvax ordered. The sensors swept Earth and the surrounding space. I'm detecting some satellites, the sensor officer reported. Primitive communication devices. A few space stations. No weapons. No shields. No military vessels, Korvax frowned. Nothing? Are they hiding on the planet? Sir, our scans show cities, infrastructure, but no significant military presence. It's like they're not even trying to defend themselves. The Admiral felt a mix of disappointment and contempt. The humans weren't even going to fight. All that brave talk 6 months ago, and now they cowered on their planet like frightened children. Send a surrender demand, Korvax ordered. Give them 1 hour to respond. 58 minutes passed. No response came from Earth. Time's up, Korvax said. Begin orbital bombardment. Target their major cities. Make it quick. 300 Republic warships moved into bombardment formation. Their weapons powered up, energy readings climbing toward firing threshold. Earth sat below them, seemingly defenseless. Commander Choi Daeho sat in the captain's chair of the UHNS Indomitable, one of Earth's newest warships. Around him, his bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. They had been waiting here invisible for 3 days. 400 human warships surrounded Earth in complete silence, their stealth systems making them ghosts. Republic fleet is in position, his tactical officer reported. They're preparing to fire on the planet, Choi smiled coldly. They really think we're helpless. They really think we're just going to let them murder our families. He pressed the fleet-wide communication button. All ships, this is Indomitable. Target locks on Republic vessels. On my mark, decloak and fire. Show them what real warships look like. The moment stretched. The Republic ships reached optimal firing position. Their weapons were seconds from firing. Mark, Choi said quietly. Space itself seemed to tear apart. 400 human warships materialized out of nowhere, completely surrounding the Republic fleet. The aliens had no warning, no time to react. 1 second they were alone. The next second they were trapped. All weapons fire, Choi commanded. The UHNS Indomitable's railguns opened up. Solid metal projectiles accelerated to near-light speed screamed across the void. They hit Republic shields designed to stop energy weapons. The shields did nothing against solid matter moving at relativistic speeds. The first Republic cruiser exploded before its crew even understood they were under attack. All around Earth, the same scene repeated itself. Human railguns shredded Republic ships. Human missiles, too fast for alien point defense systems, struck home again and again. Human laser batteries cut through armor like paper. Admiral Korvex watched in horror as his fleet died. Shields! Raise shields! Return fire! But Republic ships were designed for fighting other Republic ships. Their energy shields couldn't stop kinetic weapons. Their energy weapons couldn't hit targets moving as fast as human vessels. Their sensors couldn't track ships that kept appearing and disappearing. Pilot Shin Mirai led her fighter squadron through the chaos. Her fighter was small, fast, and more maneuverable than anything the Republic had ever built. She dove through the gap between 2 Republic battleships, firing her rotary cannon. The armor-piercing rounds walked up the side of a cruiser, finding the weak point in its engine housing. The cruiser's reactor went critical. The explosion took out 2 more Republic ships that were too close. Wraith Squadron, form up on me, Mirai called over the radio. Let's show them how humans fly. Her squadron moved like a school of fish, perfectly coordinated. They wove through Republic formations, striking fast and disappearing before return fire could find them. The aliens tried to track them, but their targeting computers couldn't keep up. On the Eternal Dominance, Admiral Korvex was trying to understand what was happening. Half his fleet was gone in the first 5 minutes. The humans had better ships, better weapons, better tactics. This wasn't a battle. This was a massacre. Send a distress signal, he ordered. Tell the Council we need reinforcements. Tell them the humans are not what we thought. A railgun round punched through his ship's bridge. The viewport shattered. Air rushed out into space. Korvex grabbed onto his chair as crew members were sucked into the void. His last thought before the oxygen ran out was simple. We made a terrible mistake. Commander Choi watched the Republic flagship break apart. Cease fire, he ordered. Let's see if any of them want to surrender. Of the 300 Republic ships that had arrived at Earth, only 47 remained. They were damaged, their formations broken, their crews in shock. One by one, they lowered their shields and powered down their weapons. Take them prisoner, Choi said. Secure their ships. We'll want to study them. On Earth, President Minho stood in the war room watching the battle displays. The engagement had lasted 17 minutes. Earth had lost 5 ships. The Republic had lost 253. It's done, General Nam Taejun said quietly. First blood is ours. Park Ji-won was already preparing the next phase. Our intelligence reports that the Republic Council is in emergency session. They're panicking. They still don't understand what happened. Then we'll help them understand, Minho said. He activated the quantum communication system. This message would reach every world in the galaxy simultaneously. His face appeared on screens across thousands of worlds. Billions of beings watched as the human president spoke. 6 months ago, the Galactic Republic declared war on Earth. They expected us to surrender. They expected us to beg for mercy. They expected us to die quietly. Minho gestured to the tactical display behind him. showing the wreckage of the Republic fleet floating around Earth. This is what happens when you expect weakness and find strength instead. For 50 years we let you believe we were primitive. We let you think we were helpless. We played the role you wanted us to play while we prepared for this day. His voice grew harder. You declared war on us expecting surrender. Instead, you've given us permission to show you what we really are. This isn't your war anymore. It's ours. And we're going to fight it our way. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, species that had been watching the conflict with amusement suddenly felt worried. The humans had hidden their strength for half a century. What else were they hiding? On Centrum Prime, the High Council sat in stunned silence. Ambassador Velthar stared at the casualty reports, unable to believe what he was reading. How? He whispered. How did they do this? Agent Yoon Seok, sitting in the back of the council chamber disguised as a minor Draxian official, smiled to himself. He had been working undercover in Republic space for 30 years, slowly working his way into positions of trust. Now, as the Republic panicked, he quietly accessed their military network and began changing things. Fleet routes, supply schedules, communication protocols, small changes that would cause big problems later. The Republic thought the battle at Earth was their only defeat. They didn't know the real war was just beginning. They didn't know that humanity had been inside their systems for decades. They didn't know that every piece of information they thought was secure had been compromised. Back on Earth, Commander Choi toured one of the captured Republic ships. His engineering team was examining their technology. It was actually less advanced than expected. "Sir, this is interesting," one engineer called out. "Their shields are designed only for energy weapons. They've never fought an enemy that used kinetic weapons before." Choi nodded slowly. The Republic has been the dominant power for so long they forgot how to adapt. They built their military to fight rebels and pirates, not real threats. He walked to the bridge of the captured ship and looked out at Earth. His home. His family lived down there in Seoul. The Republic had planned to bomb them from orbit. "Make sure every piece of this ship is documented," he told his team. "We're going to take their technology, improve it, and use it against them." That seems fair. The first battle was over. Earth had won decisively, but both sides knew this was just the beginning. The Republic would not accept defeat. They would send more fleets, bigger fleets, and humanity was counting on it. The High Council chamber on Centrum Prime looked different than it had 3 weeks ago. The confident faces were gone. Instead, fear and confusion filled the room. Representatives from 40 species argued loudly, each one trying to understand how the mighty Republic fleet had been destroyed by primitives. Ambassador Velthar stood at his podium, looking smaller than before. His blue skin had turned pale. "We need to understand what happened. Admiral Korvex's fleet was our finest, 300 ships, experienced crews, the best technology, yet the humans destroyed them in minutes." A Quailon representative slammed its appendage on the desk. "The humans cheated. They must have stolen our technology. There's no other explanation. Stolen or built, does it matter?" A Draxian counselor replied. "The fact is they have it. They beat us, and now the entire galaxy knows we're not invincible." In the back of the chamber, Agent Yoon Seok listened carefully. He looked like any other minor Draxian official, his human features hidden under advanced holographic disguise. For 30 years he had worked his way into Republic systems, gathering information, making connections, preparing for this moment. Now, as the Council panicked, he quietly accessed the military coordination network through his hidden datapad. With a few commands, he changed fleet deployment schedules. Ships that were supposed to guard important colonies were redirected to empty sectors. Supply convoys were rerouted. Communication encryption keys were corrupted. The Republic was starting to tear itself apart, and they didn't even know it. "We need to send another fleet," Velthar said. "A bigger one. Show the humans that one victory means nothing." "With what ships?" another counselor demanded. "We only have 12 major fleets. Do we strip defenses from our colonies? What if other species see our weakness and rebel?" The argument continued. Yoon Seok smiled behind his disguise and sent an encrypted message to Earth. "They're paralyzed by fear. Begin Phase 2. On Earth, General Nam Tae-jun received the message and activated the next part of humanity's war plan. All strike groups, you are cleared to begin offensive operations. Remember, we're not just fighting the Republic. We're liberating everyone they've oppressed." 3 human battle groups departed Earth space simultaneously, each one headed for a different Republic colony world. The Republic expected Earth to defend its home system and wait for the next attack. They didn't expect humanity to bring the war to them. Captain Osunmi commanded the battle group heading for Keptar, a mining world on the Republic's outer rim. Intelligence reports said 50,000 enslaved Tholians worked the mines there, forced labor extracted by the Republic over 2 centuries. Approaching Keptar orbit, her navigator reported. Republic garrison fleet detected. 20 ships. 20 ships to guard 50,000 slaves, Sunmi said quietly. They're so confident nobody would dare attack them. She opened the fleet channel. All ships combat formation. Let's make this quick. The human ships dropped out of stealth. The Republic garrison scrambled to respond, but they were designed to suppress slave rebellions, not fight real warships. In less than an hour, all 20 Republic ships were destroyed or captured. Sunmi led her Marines down to the planet's surface. The mines were dark, dirty, and filled with the sound of machinery. Tholians worked in terrible conditions, their bodies thin from poor food and hard labor. The Republic overseers tried to organize a defense, but human soldiers moved too fast. Within 2 hours, every overseer was captured and every slave was free. Sunmi stood in the main mining complex and activated her translator. Thousands of Tholians gathered around her, their large eyes watching carefully. My name is Captain Osunmi of the Earth Defense Forces, she said. The Galactic Republic has been defeated here. You are no longer slaves. You are free. The Tholians were silent at first. Freedom was a concept they barely remembered. Then one of them, an older worker with scars covering his body, spoke up. Free to do what? Free to starve. The Republic controls everything. Food, transport, communication. Even if we're free here, we're trapped. Sunmi had expected this. We're offering you a choice. You can stay here and we'll help you build your own government. Or you can join us, fight alongside Earth, help us free others like you. The choice is yours. The scarred Tholian looked at his people. Then he looked back at Sunmi. We've been slaves for 200 years. If you're really fighting the Republic, then we want to fight with you. All around the complex, other Tholians made the same decision. By the end of the day, 30,000 of them had volunteered to join Earth's forces. Similar scenes played out across 3 Republic worlds. Everywhere humans went, they freed slaves and offered alliance instead of conquest. Word spread quickly through the underground networks that connected oppressed species across the galaxy. The Republic wasn't just fighting Earth anymore. They were fighting rebellions on a dozen worlds simultaneously. On Centrum Prime, the Council received the reports with growing horror. 3 colonies lost in one day, Velthar said. And the freed slaves are joining the humans. This is spreading. We need to show strength, a Vex counselor hissed. Make an example. Show the galaxy what happens to those who defy us. What do you suggest? Velthar asked. Use the biological weapons, the ones we've kept in reserve. We've never needed them before, but these humans have pushed us too far. The council voted. 28 in favor, 12 against. The motion passed. 2 weeks later, a Republic science vessel approached New Horizon, a human colony world with 2 million inhabitants. The ship released modified viruses into the atmosphere and left. Within days, people started getting sick. The virus attacked the respiratory system, causing victims to slowly suffocate. Hospitals filled with dying patients. The colony's governor called Earth, desperate for help. President Minho watched the casualty numbers climb. Thousands dead, tens of thousands infected. They used biological weapons against civilians, he said quietly. They crossed a line they can never uncross. Dr. Li Hyun worked in his laboratory without sleep, studying samples of the virus. It was sophisticated, designed specifically to target human biology. The Republic had clearly prepared this weapon years in advance. I can beat this, Hyun told Minho over the communication link. Give me 72 hours. Hyun worked faster than he ever had in his life. The virus was complex, but human medical science had advanced far beyond what the Republic knew. Humans had been studying alien biology for 50 years, preparing for exactly this kind of attack. 68 hours after starting, Hyun transmitted the cure to New Horizon. Within days, the dying patients began to recover. Within a week, the plague was over. The final death count was 12,000 people. 12,000 civilians murdered by biological weapons. President Minho addressed the galaxy again. His face was harder than before, his voice cold. The Galactic Republic has used biological weapons against civilian populations. They have committed war crimes. They have shown that they recognize no limits, no honor, no rules. He paused, letting the words sink in. Fine, neither do we now. We tried to fight this war with honor. We tried to minimize casualties. We tried to be better than you. But you've shown us that honor is weakness in your eyes. So be it, gloves off. No more mercy. Across human space, military commands were updated. Rules of engagement were changed. Earth's forces would still protect civilians, would still free slaves, but they would no longer show any restraint when dealing with Republic military forces. The Republic had wanted total war. Now they would get it. General Nam Taejun launched the next phase of operations. Instead of 3 battle groups, he sent 30. Human forces struck everywhere at once, moving too fast for the Republic to track. Colony worlds, mining operations, supply depots, fleet bases. Every Republic installation became a target, and everywhere they went, they freed the enslaved and recruited the oppressed. The Republic's empire was built on subjugation. Now that foundation was crumbling. Agent Yoon Seok, still working undercover on Centrum Prime, continued his sabotage. He corrupted the military database so Republic forces couldn't coordinate. He leaked intelligence to human commanders. He spread false information through official channels. The Republic thought they were fighting one enemy. They didn't realize the enemy was already inside their command structure. On Keptar, the liberated Tholians trained alongside human soldiers. The scarred worker who had spoken to Captain Sunmi proved to be a natural leader. His name was Kelvin, and he commanded the 1st Tholian Volunteer Regiment. Why are you doing this? He asked Sunmi one day during training. Humans could have just destroyed the Republic and taken over. Why free us? Why share power? Sunmi thought about it carefully. Because taking power by force just creates the next tyrant. We want something different. A galaxy where species work together as equals. That can't happen if we just replace the Republic as the new bosses. Kelvin nodded slowly. Your people are strange, but I think I like you. 3 months after the war began, the Republic controlled 30% less territory. 20 species had openly rebelled. Human forces were everywhere. Impossible to predict, impossible to stop. The High Council met again. This time there were only 35 representatives. 5 species had already withdrawn from the Republic. Ambassador Velthar looked defeated. We're losing. The humans are winning, and I don't know how to stop them. Lieutenant Bae-jun crouched in the shadow of a massive Republic shipyard, watching the guards patrol past. His team of 12 Special Operations soldiers waited behind him, completely silent. They had infiltrated this facility 2 days ago, traveling inside supply containers, bypassing security systems that the Republic thought were impossible to beat. The shipyard orbited a gas giant in the Telco system. It produced 20 warships per month, a critical part of the Republic's attempt to rebuild their fleet. After the losses at Earth, intelligence, reports said 200 ships were currently under construction. Here, charges are set, whispered one of June's soldiers over the tactical channel. We can blow the main reactor and destroy the whole facility. June shook his head. No, we're not here to destroy. We're here to steal. The Republic expected Earth to fight like they did, fleets meeting in space, ships trading fire until one side retreated. They didn't understand the human way of war. Humans didn't just fight battles. They struck logistics, disrupted supply lines, captured resources, and turned enemy strengths into weaknesses. June's team moved silently through the shipyard's control center. They stunned the guards with non-lethal weapons, then locked down the facility. Within an hour, they had complete control. This is Lieutenant Bae-jun to Earth Command, he reported. Telco shipyard is secured. 200 Republic ships are now ours. Over the next week, human engineers arrived and began the process of converting Republic ships for human use. Weapons were upgraded. Engines were improved. Control systems were modified. The Republic had spent months building these vessels. Earth stole them all in one night. Similar operations happened across Republic space. Humans didn't just fight. They captured, they adapted, they learned. Every Republic base that fell became a human base. Every Republic ship became part of Earth's growing fleet. Commander Han Yunji implemented what the military called Ghost Protocol. Human ships would appear in Republic space, strike a target, then vanish before reinforcements arrived. They attacked supply convoys, destroyed communication relays, raided research stations. The Republic never knew where the next strike would come. They saw human ships everywhere, sometimes ships that weren't actually there. Paranoia spread through Republic forces faster than any human weapon. A Republic captain reported seeing human warships near the Velk system. A fleet was sent to investigate. They found nothing. While that fleet was searching empty space, real human forces struck 3 undefended colonies. Another Republic fleet reported being followed by stealth ships. They spent days trying to detect the ghosts. By the time they realized no one was actually following them, the humans had captured a major asteroid mining facility. Fear became a weapon. Republic crews jumped at shadows. They fired on each other by mistake. They abandoned positions because they thought humans were coming. The enemy doesn't know what's real anymore, Yunji reported to General Nam Taejun. Their own imaginations are working against them. Nam smiled grimly. Good, keep them off balance. Make them afraid of empty space. 6 months after the war began, Earth's forces approached Centrum Prime itself. 200 human warships plus another 100 ships crewed by freed slaves and allied species. They entered the system in perfect formation. The Republic had pulled back their defenses, concentrating everything around their capital world. 300 ships waited in orbit. Defense platforms covered the planet. Millions of soldiers prepared for an invasion. General Nam Taejun stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the Republic defenses. They expect us to attack. They're ready for a battle. He turned to his communication officer. Begin the broadcast. Instead of attacking, the human fleet simply stopped at the edge of the system. Then they started transmitting. Every crime the Republic had committed over the last 1,000 years. Every species enslaved. Every world stripped of resources. Every war started under false pretenses. Every lie told to subject populations. Earth's intelligence service had spent decades gathering evidence, and now they shared it all. The broadcast wasn't just for Centrum Prime. It went to every world in the galaxy simultaneously. Billions of beings watched as the Republic's crimes were exposed in detail. This is what your government does. President Minho's voice accompanied the evidence. This is what they've hidden from you. The Galactic Republic isn't a force for peace and order. It's a machine built to exploit the weak and enrich the powerful. On Centrum Prime, citizens watched the broadcasts in shock. Many had believed their government's propaganda. Some had suspected the truth but never had proof. Now they couldn't deny it anymore. The Republic's member species began withdrawing from the alliance. First 1, then 3, then 10. Some declared neutrality. Others asked Earth for protection. A few joined the growing coalition against the Republic. Inside the council chamber, Ambassador Velthar watched his government collapse in real time. Representatives were leaving, their seats emptying one by one. We need to negotiate, one of the remaining councilors said. The war is lost. No, Velthar shouted. We can still fight. We still have our fleet. We can what? Another councilor interrupted. The humans aren't even attacking us. They're just sitting out there, showing everyone what we are. Our own people are turning against us. Agent Yoon Seok chose this moment to reveal himself. He stood up from his seat in the back and deactivated his holographic disguise. His human features became visible. Hello, councilors, he said in perfect Republic standard language. I've been sitting in this chamber for 5 years. Before that, I worked in your military intelligence for 12 years. Before that, your trade ministry for 8 years. 30 years I've been here, learning your secrets, accessing your systems, preparing for this. Velthar stared at him in horror. You're human? This whole time? Yoon smiled without warmth. You asked how the humans knew so much about you. How they knew your fleet movements, your military codes, your strategic plans. Now you know. We were inside your government for decades. Security guards rushed toward Yoon, but he pressed a button on his datapad. The guards' weapons shut down. The doors locked. The lights flickered. I have complete control of this building's systems, Yoon continued. In fact, I have control of most of your capital's infrastructure. I've been in your networks for years. You just never bothered to look. He walked toward the center podium where Velthar stood. Your people asked me questions. Why didn't humans reveal their strength immediately? Why hide for 50 years? Yoon stopped in front of the ambassador. Would you have left us alone if we showed you what we were right away? Or would you have brought the entire galaxy to destroy us before we were ready? We showed you what you wanted to see until it didn't matter anymore. We played weak until we were strong enough that nothing you did could stop us. Velthar had no answer. He slumped in his chair, defeated. The High Council is hereby under arrest, Yoon announced. General Nam, the capital is yours. Human Marines landed on Centrum Prime within hours. There was no fighting. The Republic's military command surrendered without firing a shot. 8 months after the war began, the Galactic Republic ceased to exist, but the war wasn't completely over. Scattered Republic forces still fought in some sectors. Die-hard loyalists refused to surrender. It would take months to clean up the remaining resistance. General Nam Taejun met with Captain Osunmi and her Tholian ally, Kelvin, in what used to be the High Council chamber. We won, Sunmi said. But now what? We control half the galaxy. What do we do with it? Nam looked at the empty council seats. That's the question, isn't it? The Republic conquered and enslaved. We promised to be different. Now we have to prove it, Kelvin spoke up. My people have been watching. Other species are watching too. If Earth just becomes the new Republic, if you just replace them as the bosses, then nothing really changes. I know, Nam said. President Minho knows. That's why he's preparing a proposal for something new, something that's never been tried at this scale before. 2 weeks later, representatives from 47 species gathered on Centrum Prime. Not in the old council chamber, but in a new building specially constructed for this meeting. President Minho addressed them all. The Galactic Republic ruled through force and fear. They told you what to do and punished you if you refused. Earth could do the same. We have the military power. We have the technology. We have the control. He paused, letting the tension build. But we won't. We're here to offer you something different. A true democracy. A commonwealth where every species has equal voice. Where decisions are made together, not imposed from above. The representatives looked skeptical. One Qualan elder spoke up. Humans have all the power. Why would you share it? Minho smiled. Because we remember what it was like to be weak. 50 years ago, we were terrified that the Republic would destroy us. We know what it feels like to be at someone else's mercy. We don't want to make others feel that way. And because, Defense Minister Park Ji-won added, we're not interested in ruling a galaxy. We're interested in living in a galaxy worth living in. That requires partners, not subjects. The debate lasted for days. Some species were suspicious. Others were hopeful. A few walked away, choosing independence over any alliance. But in the end, 8 months. That's how long the war lasted. 8 months from the moment the Republic declared war until the moment they surrendered. For a conflict that was supposed to span the galaxy, it ended remarkably fast. President Minho stood in a hospital on Earth, walking slowly through the long corridors. Beds filled every room, each one holding a wounded soldier. Some would recover. Others would carry their injuries for life. All of them had sacrificed for victory. He stopped at the bed of Major Park Ji-hoon, a Marine who had lost both legs during the defense of New Horizon. Ji-hoon was young, only 28, but his eyes looked older now. Mr. President, Ji-hoon said, trying to sit up straighter. Rest, Major, Minho said gently, sitting in the chair beside the bed. I'm not here as president. I'm here as someone who sent you to war. Ji-hoon looked at his missing legs. We won, sir. That's what matters, is it? Minho asked quietly. We won the war. We defeated the Republic, but look at what it cost. 50,000 dead, 200,000 wounded. Entire colonies damaged, and that's just our side. The Republic lost millions. Why, they started it, Ji-hoon said. They did, Minho agreed. But we finished it. We became very good at killing, very efficient at destruction. The question is, what did we become in the process? Ji-hoon was quiet for a moment. Sir, if you're asking if it was worth it, I can't answer that. I fought because the Republic would have enslaved us if we didn't. I lost my legs, but my family is free. My world is safe. That has to count for something. Minho nodded slowly. It does, it counts for everything. I just want to make sure we don't lose ourselves in victory. It's easy to become the thing you fought against. The Major smiled slightly. Then don't, sir. You have the power to choose what comes next. Choose better. That conversation stayed with Minho as he returned to the presidential complex. The High Council of the Old Republic had offered Earth complete control of the galaxy. Every species expected humanity to become the new overlords. Defense Minister Park Ji-won was waiting in his office. The delegates are assembled. They're waiting for your decision. Have you read the proposal? Minho asked. Yes, G1 said. It's risky. Giving up power voluntarily. Most species won't understand it. Some will see it as weakness. What do you see it as? G1 smiled. The smartest move we could make. Empires fall. Democracies adapt. We'd be fools to repeat the Republic's mistakes. The next day, representatives from 47 species gathered in the new assembly hall. The room was designed differently than the old council chamber. No raised podiums, no hierarchy of seating, just a circle of equal positions. President Minho stood in the center. The Galactic Republic is gone. The question now is what replaces it. Earth has the military power to impose our will. We could become the new rulers. Many of you probably expect that. He paused, looking around at the gathered species. But we don't want to rule you. We want to work with you. We're proposing something new. A galactic commonwealth. A true democracy, where every member species has equal voice in decisions. The Qualan elder, who had been skeptical before, spoke up. You're offering to share power equally? Earth would have the same vote as species with only a few million inhabitants? Yes, Minho said simply. That's ridiculous, a Vex representative hissed. Earth has the strongest military, the most advanced technology. You deserve more influence. Deserve? Minho shook his head. The Republic thought they deserved to rule because they were strong. That's exactly the thinking we're trying to move past. Strength doesn't give anyone the right to control others. Dr. Li Hyun, attending as Earth Science Advisor, added his thoughts. We've learned a lot from studying your cultures over the past 50 years. Every species brings something valuable. The Tholians have mathematical insights we're still trying to understand. The Draxians have medical knowledge that saved thousands of our wounded. The Quellons have philosophical traditions that challenge our assumptions. Why would we want to silence any of those voices? The debate continued for hours. Some species worried it was a trick. Others worried it wouldn't work. A few accused humans of being naive. Finally, Kelvin, the Tholian who had fought alongside Captain Sunmi, stood up. I was a slave for 40 years. The Republic owned me, used me, treated me as property. Then humans freed me. They armed me. They treated me as an equal. Now they're offering to share power with us. He looked around at the other representatives. Maybe it won't work. Maybe democracy at this scale is impossible. But I'd rather try something new and fail than accept the same old system. I vote yes. Over the next week, 38 species agreed to join the Commonwealth. 9 chose complete independence instead. Earth accepted both decisions. The real work began immediately. Captain Oh Sunmi found herself assigned to the Reconstruction Corps, helping to rebuild worlds damaged during the war. She traveled to New Horizon, where the Republic had used biological weapons. The colony was recovering, but scars remained. Buildings showed damage from the panic during the plague. A memorial park now stood where the emergency hospital tents had been set up. Sunmi worked alongside Draxian engineers, Tholian laborers, and Quilon architects. They weren't just rebuilding the colony. They were building something better than before. This is strange, one Draxian engineer said to her. In the Republic, we'd have sent labor crews. Forced work. But here we're all volunteers, all working together. That's the point, Sunmi replied. The Commonwealth only works if we want it to work. Nobody's forced to participate. On Centrum Prime, the old Republic government buildings were converted into schools and hospitals. Agent Yoon Seok, no longer undercover, helped establish the new intelligence service, one designed to protect the Commonwealth from external threats, not spy on its own members. He met with Ambassador Velthar in a prison cell. The former Republic official looked tired and old. You must be satisfied, Velthar said bitterly. You won. You destroyed everything we built. Yoon shook his head. I'm not satisfied. I'm relieved. Relieved that we don't have to pretend anymore. Relieved that the war is over. But satisfied? No. Too many people died for me to feel satisfied. What will happen to me? Velthar asked. You'll stand trial for war crimes. The biological weapons mainly. If you're found guilty, you'll face punishment. But it will be a fair trial with actual evidence and a proper defense. That's the difference between us and you. Velthar laughed without humor. You think you're better than the Republic. But power corrupts. Give it time. In 100 years, Earth will be just like we were. Maybe, Yoon admitted. That's why we're building systems to prevent it. Term limits. Independent courts. Free press. Checks on military power. We're trying to make it so no one, including us, can become what you were. General Nam Tejun faced a different challenge. With the war over, Earth had the most powerful military in the galaxy. That made many species nervous. We're reducing our forces by 30%, he announced at a Commonwealth Military Council. Our shipyards will produce civilian vessels. Our soldiers will transition to peacetime roles or civilian life. The other species representatives looked shocked. One asked, "What if there's another threat? What if someone attacks the Commonwealth?" "Then we'll respond," Nam said. "But we're not keeping a massive military during peacetime. That's how republics turn into empires. We'll maintain enough for defense, but we won't be a threat to our own allies." Defense Minister Park Ji-won oversaw the transition. It wasn't easy. Soldiers who had spent their whole lives preparing for war now had to find new purposes. Some became teachers, sharing military discipline and training with Commonwealth security forces. Others went into engineering, space exploration, or civilian government. She visited a training facility where human Marines were teaching Tholian volunteers. Not teaching them to fight, teaching them to run disaster relief operations, search and rescue, emergency medical care. This is what victory looks like, she thought. Not parades and medals. Teaching former enemies to save lives instead of taking them. Years passed. The Commonwealth grew stronger. New species joined. Trade flourished. Science advanced as species shared knowledge instead of hoarding it. On a Commonwealth research station orbiting a neutron star, young human scientist Kim Yuna worked with a team of mixed species on clean energy research. Her supervisor was a former Republic officer who had switched sides during the war. "Tell me about the war," he asked her one day during a break. "You're too young to remember it, but your parents must have told you stories." Yuna shrugged. "My mother was an engineer who built ships. My father was a diplomat who helped set up the Commonwealth. They don't talk much about the fighting. Mostly they talk about the building that came after. Don't you wonder what it was like? The battles? The victories?" "Not really," Yuna said honestly. "I mean, I know it happened. I know it was necessary. But that's their generation's story. My generation's job is to make sure it never has to happen again. We're building a future where species solve problems through cooperation instead of war." The supervisor was quiet for a moment. "You know what's amazing? I fought against Earth. I lost friends in that war. But now I work with humans every day and I don't feel anger. I feel grateful that something good came from something terrible." "That's what the Commonwealth is supposed to be," Yuna said. "A place where even former enemies can work together." On Earth, President Minho was now